Hello, everybody. It's Dave Neal, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News. I'm back in my West Coast studio in Los Angeles after an absolute magical 5 or 6 days there in the beautiful state of Rhode Island. I had a chance to go swimming in the Atlantic Ocean. It was a cloudy day. It was a little chilly, but boy, did it feel good to be back in that home community of mine. And I just returned to some knowledge that I'm banned on the Bachelor Subreddit. Now, maybe I got the notification several days ago, but I've been traveling with my mobile studio, so I didn't know what the deal was, what I was banned for or what. So I'm just going to break that down. You might enjoy this type of content. You might not. I'm not here to sensationalize it. It's just a conversation. Something of which I've preached we need more of in our world. But I'm no longer welcomed in the conversation on the Bachelor subreddit. You guys can be the judge on whether or not you believe that is justified or not. It won't really change any of the business I do over here. It does remind me, though, that whether, in the last couple of years, my channel's gone from really essentially no following to over 10 million monthly impressions on YouTube and, discussions other places. I forget that anyone's even listening to what I'm saying sometimes, because I'm one of you guys in the sense that I've commented on The Bachelor for, close to 10 years. And I've always kind of been somebody who, is a part of that conversation, no longer on the subreddit, but of course still over here and on Patreon at patreon.com/Dave Neal. So if you want to go join me over there, I always appreciate new members. We have private behind-the-scenes live streams almost daily. I'll be live at 10 a.m. this morning to continue this conversation. So here's what went down. I'm going to share the comment I got, and then I'll share the comment that got me banned, and then we'll just go from there. I'm going to be completely it's impossible to be to not have a bias in a situation like this, but I'm going to try my best to represent the Reddit moderators and what they might think that they are doing here. And again, it's really not that big of a deal, right? You have been permanently banned from participating in the Bachelor subreddit because your comment violates the community's rules. You won't be able to post or comment, but you can still view and subscribe to it. Note from the moderators. And again, I don't know exactly which rule I violated. Maybe they'll let me know. Here was their personal note. So they can hit ban, and then they can tell you why you're banned. Exploiting the personal tragedy of a non-public figure for self-promotion is extremely inappropriate. If you have a question regarding your ban, you can contact the mod team by replying. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll just ask for further clarification. So let's go to what the comment was. There was a discussion 1 week ago, breakup in Bachelor Nation. It wasn't a breakup. On the Bachelor Nation subreddit, they are saying Reality Steve was talking on his podcast about another breakup, which could be an unfortunate story that might break in a couple days. He didn't say who it was, though, but did say it wasn't Michael and Danielle. So who do you guys think it could be? Some people are saying Ryan and Trista because of his love letter Instagram post, and if that happened, I would never believe in love again. We must investigate. Now, I'm not going to even defend my comment, but I'll show you what I said. So my response was, it's a goddamn tragedy is what it is, because it was. And trigger warning, the conversation over what actually Reality Steve knew and the information that was coming out had to do with the death of somebody who dated a contestant who was on the show. This person took their own life. They had a young child. It was a goddamn tragedy. I need to do a better job of learning when to keep my mouth shut. I didn't need to be a part of this conversation. I did know at the time what had happened. I do believe at the time the coroner's report either came out or it was already verified. The story was already verified. People had already offered their condolences and all of that on the person's Instagram page. So the information was quasi-public, just not public within this community. It wasn't my story to break, nor was it a story I even covered. I covered Reality Steve, the conversation around him, but I never broke the story, mentioned the person's name, or ever covered it whatsoever. People responded to my comment, which again, I probably shouldn't have done. And so to take the side of the moderators for a second, it would look like I'm not even sowing disinformation because the information was correct, but I'm adding to a conversation that would be toxic. So people had responded to my initial comment, is it more serious than a breakup? Like people were asking, is it Ryan and Trista? Is it all these things? My response, sadly, just give some time for the people involved. I guess folks can speculate, but it's truly just sad all around. Now, saying I guess folks could speculate wasn't me trying to get people to go down crazy rabbit holes about what it might be. It was really me just saying, hey, do what you guys want to do. But I'm telling you right now, it's just sad. I should have, I guess at that point I was already, I'll put it this way. At that point, I had already said too much. Because was it Ryan and Trista? Was it this? Was it, people are going to ask questions. And of course they see my name here. And I've always used my actual username in as many circumstances as possible because I'm not trying to lurk. Now I have other usernames I do because sometimes you'll get maxed out from commenting and you got to go to another user. It's a stupid game, but I try my best to use my name. And I believe I'm one of the only people out of the 200,000+, out of 250,000 people, I'm one of the only people on that Reddit that uses their name to say, I am going to stand by what I say, even if I'm wrong. And in this case, yeah, I think it was wrong for me, obviously, to comment because I wasn't going to provide more information. And it does lead to speculation. But I guess the question I would ask the moderators is, was my intention was I saying, it's a tragedy, hear more about this on the Patreon? Well, no, because I never talked about it on the Patreon. I never talked about it on YouTube. People can join my Patreon until they're blue in the face if they want to, if they want to get live streams and all the behind-the-scenes content, but I wasn't doing that here. Now, I got plenty of comments from people that were very upset with me. Stop commenting on it, period. Teasing a tragedy is generally sick in the head for you. Full stop, sick in the head. And again, I could argue I wasn't teasing a tragedy. I was just trying. I mean, you could say that I did a bad job, but I was in part trying to clarify a little bit and say it wasn't that. Now, someone left a comment. I won't go through all the comments because, you know, why pick a scab if I don't have to? But someone left a comment and said something like, you just wanted us to know you knew what happened. And they're not wrong. There is something psychological that happens when you have information that others don't. It can become incredible. So for people that go, oh, Reality Steve's a bad guy for teasing this, or this person's a bad person for that, or this moderator's power thirsty. I just say this. I give the moderators incredible amounts of grace as well as I do Reality Steve and anyone else involved. It's a very hard line to walk and tightrope to balance when covering this stuff. The easy thing would have, I guess, been to just not mention anything at all, but you're out there, you're commenting, you're being whatever. Oh, I know this. Yeah, trust me. No, that's not what it is. You know, in part, yeah, there is a little bit of an addictive nature to it all. So I'm willing to admit that. Now, what the moderators probably won't admit is their own power-hungry sort of stance in this, because I'm willing to admit mine. I'm willing to admit, yeah, man, it's tough to know something, know that they're getting it wrong, know that, you know, they're not doing it right, speculating that it's Ryan, Trista, and all these other things, and knowing I can't possibly respond to all the different people because I don't live on Reddit. Whenever this came out, I probably went on there, went back to work. I make a ton of content all day long, so I'm not just consuming content. Reddit is as much a tool as my Facebook community is and my DMs. I probably get most of my content from my DMs, people just sending me content, but of course, Reddit has 200,000+ people on it. It's not one person, the subreddit that is. So if I search Reddit and go to new or hot stories, it's going to tell me what everybody's talking about. And all I do is generally bring that to a YouTube community and say, here's what everyone's talking about. Here's my opinion. I've been super open about how I make my content. I've been very open about how much money I make. And anybody who wanted to could do what I do. They could literally rip off what I do, and plenty of people have, and they have a right to share their opinion, and you can listen to it or not. I think the moderators don't like that I make a living in part doing this. I could be wrong. I'm only speculating. Any of the moderators are happy to reach out to me in my DMs and let me know, no, we just don't like you, or we think you're reckless, or whatever. But I know when I talk about other people that have been on the show or had negative things come out about them, I live by that mantra. We're all, or maybe it's not a mantra, but the idea that we're all trying the best with the information we have. And it can be terribly intoxicating sometimes, knowing what to comment on, knowing what not to comment on. And someone who might not like me might say, "Oh, Dave, you're just making the excuse." No, I'm owning up that I probably shouldn't have commented on there. I don't get paid to comment on subreddits. I also never made any content based on this story, so I do understand the negative comments there. You called it a goddamn tragedy. That's more serious than a breakup. If you were actually in the know and trying to calm down speculation, then you would have said what Reality Steve said today, that it has nothing to do with a contestant and to stop speculating, but you didn't. You just wanted people to know that you knew and encouraged people to guess at tragic events like it's entertainment. Well, again, like I said, I can admit that there is an aspect to that where there is an addictive nature to it all. And when you have a story that you might only have and there's breaking news, I genuinely really don't touch breaking news stories. I've truly broken, less than a handful of stories in my, time over here. It's not what I like to do. It's not what I care to do. I don't like to be a part of the drama. You just sometimes step into it, realize it's not, if it was a relationship, my relationship, I have a rock solid, amazing family. I love my family. I love my wife. And yet plenty of times, maybe once a week, we'll have a spiff or something where we disagree on something or whatever. So that's normal. The only problem is when that happens on Reddit or something like that, you get banned. You know what I mean? So I feel like they were looking for a reason to ban me. Like, you know what? Fuck that guy. Get him out of here. When in fact, I had no monetary reason to tease it because I never talked about it. It was a really dark scenario. What's more likely the case, and what I'm going to tell you is how I felt, and you guys can decide to believe me or not. What's more likely the case is that I wanted to talk about it because it was so tragic. It was a gosh dang, true tragedy. My heart spills for people when things like this happen, when we have mental health issues and all of that. My whole channel is built on understanding we're all trying our best, trying to build community, trying to have, trying to realize that we don't need some great place of moral superiority when someone else has an old tweet that comes out that's harmful or whatever, trying to elevate and lift each other up. I think if anyone wants to prosecute me and go through any evidence, that's what they'll find, at least as of the last couple of years. The longer I've covered this content, the more empathy I've built. I'm as guilty as anyone else in the past for making fun of someone's, forehead or clavicle bones or whatever. I'm as guilty as anybody else. But when I look at where we want to go and progress and all that, I look at, I think having good conversations is the right way to go. And again, no worries, whatever. They banned me. Who cares? There's no one to be upset at. I don't know who they are. But what I have learned is that it's very tough to have that conversation on the subreddit. My DMs are open. Anyone can text me or call in the voicemail line, 401-213-9828. You can call me, moderators. If anyone wants to talk on air or off air, you can let me know, 401-213-9828. If there's more to the story that I am unaware of, please let me know. So because Reality Steve talked about something on his own podcast, which he has the right to do, right? Because he teased a story on his own podcast, this Reddit thread happened. It wasn't like wherever it was. It wasn't like Reality Steve here posted this to promote his podcast. Someone else brought it to the Reddit. And after this happened, after this went down and the comments happened, nobody mentioned the name of who it was, which again, at the time, it was public knowledge. And I still haven't mentioned it here, and I have no intention to do so. But after that all happened, we actually had a note from the moderators. Moderator note concerning news from Reality Steve. Hi, all. As many here know, Reality Steve has been alluding to a tragic story that affects Bachelor Nation for a couple days now on his podcast. That's all true. According to articles online, it seems that Eric Schwartz's ex, Amanda, has passed away. Please keep her son and all her loved ones in your thoughts. Due to Amanda not being a part of Bachelor Nation or a public figure, the mod team will not be allowing any posts or speculation about this out of respect for her and her family. Please do not make any posts about this unless there is commentary from contestants that directly relates back to Bachelor Nation. And then they added an edit. We want to make it clear that the mod team is in agreement that the way Reality Steve teased this news and how Dave Neal encouraged speculation in the sub was extremely disgusting and inappropriate. It should never have been a topic they used to generate buzz for their platforms. We don't tolerate harmful speculation on this forum, and the private lives of individuals with no direct ties to the show aren't up for discussion. So in my discussion right now, I would just argue the point that I was using it to generate buzz for my platforms is inaccurate. At that moment, although regretting I made the comment because of my name, and a name I'm learning to realize does get used, will get talked about, and it's new. This is new stuff. I mean, well, you've done this for a few years. Yeah, but there's still only a handful of times where I go, oh, geez, I shouldn't have said that, or, oh man, I shouldn't have done this or whatever. It's like, you smoke a cigarette, you throw it in the trash, and then the trash burns up. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. I didn't mean to start a fire. Dave Neal's trying to start a fire. No, I didn't mean to do that at all. That was not my intention. I encourage everyone to listen and believe people when they tell you what their intention was. If we worry more about people's intentions and more about the result, I think we'll come into better terms to realize we're all trying our best. Now, that might not apply to every situation, but I think for the most part, we have a little bit of a buildup here of content that is in the direction of trying our best, right? I think I can say that in good faith. You guys can decide. You guys are my audience. You guys are here in the comments section. I will let you know I'm not going to be reading the comments on this. If anyone wants to call or text, you can go 401-213-9828. I get nothing out of that. I just not going to do the comments with people I don't, know and all of that. I'm certainly not welcomed in the Bachelor subreddit. I will say this about the moderators. I think collectively, if I were them, I would look in the mirror themselves and think about how hungry for power they might be. It's common. I mean, you see it with police officers and flight attendants. I mean, I know all great flight attendants, but every once in a while there's someone who's like, all right, easy there, Deputy Dan. And I think that's what we get happening here. I was not issued any sort of warning. I was not spoken to personally. I can be an asset to them for good conversations. I can communicate with people. I do it all day long on my channel. I respond to hundreds of comments and things like that. So the blind blocking and straight up, vilification of what was an otherwise unfortunate and very unique situation, I think in hindsight looks more like, they should have known better or this or that. When in fact, Reality Steve, he's done a dang good job. He's done, and I was the first to defend not necessarily the speculation, but the idea that he's trying his best with a lot of information. I mean, you have no idea the amount of content he gets sent that he doesn't report on because he doesn't have certain sources or this or that. So after all of this hate at the speculation, and again, if Reality Steve had broken the story, there would have been hate for that as well. The best thing he could have done is just not made any comments at all. We know that in hindsight. But after all of that and through their edits and all this, they are the ones that break the name to their audience. I don't know. I don't know which one's right and which one's wrong. But I will say this. I'm just trying to do a fair job of sharing the content that I get. And my genuine, and I've meant to post this before, the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is always important to talk about. We share stuff like this in any video that has any trigger warning whatsoever. 988. If you know somebody who might be acting in a way that is not normal or of high energy or whatever the telltale signs may be, try to let them know that they're not alone. I think that's the best thing we can do for each other is remind each other we are not alone. So with all of that said, I don't know, will they unban me? Will they share this and then have make me the bully of the day? I have no idea. What I do know from credible sources is that the Reddit moderators, in some cases, because I don't know all of them, I don't know one of them by name. They have multiple accounts. They can dictate what stories are talked about, which stories are banned. They decided to shut down and have a temper tantrum for a couple of weeks, in some sort of weird protest. I still don't know what it was about. There is a lot of power that exists behind the screens, behind faceless names. And all I have to say about that is my name is Dave Neal. You can come talk to me. I put my name and my face in front of the content I make, whether I'm right or wrong, whether I have something to apologize for or something to rant about. I will be here. This is where you can find me. More content coming my way or your way right after this.